Ma'at Hotep. I am Goddess Kifa Admina Ma'u. I am doing this video about the wrongs that we commit to our offsprings, to our young kings and queens. This session or segment is about our emotions, being dictated by our emotions instead of by our lower echelon instead of our upper echelon, our person versus our self. Understanding what that means is the same as some people may understand as the flesh against the spirit. In the Kemetic way, we call her Uset, our person. And what we rise to is our User, which is our self, the indwelling God. Most of my life, I was not guided by self, but guided by my person, by my emotions, and not truly comprehending what that meant of not taking things personally and so on. I knew that when I decided to have children, that I was going to be the best mother that I could possibly be. I was not raised by my mother or my father when I was born. I was raised by my grandparents due to situations between my mother and my father. So majority of my life I was being taken care of by my grandmother, my late grandmother Ojeda Pinnell, my late grandfather Alfonso Pinnell. But I decided that I was going to be this particular type of mother because I did not want to be like what I felt like my mother, because I wanted to make sure that my children knew that their mother was there and did everything she possibly could to take care of them. But that was me reacting out of my emotions. Most of my life was dictated by these emotions, so all the choices that I made that was based off of family scenarios or relationships that I've had with men, or even my relationships that I had with just friends, that I allowed those to dictate the choices that I made in my life. What we don't understand or decide to comprehend about what we do to our children, when we decided to have our children, we became responsible for their lives. We are the ones who are to take care of them, to make sure that they're fed, make sure they have clothes, make sure that they have some type of morals to live by. It doesn't have to be based off of religion. It's just the fact of living a life as what they call a good person. But unfortunately, as how I did things, I'm not saying that I was a bad parent, because I was not. I was a pretty decent parent, and I still am, and learning and growing to be a better person, a better being, rising to self. That is the spiritual walk that I'm on. Anyway, within this spiritual walk, I realized that yes, we are responsible for our children and their well-being. We are here to care for them, but we are now accountable for what our children are experiencing and what they are feeling, what they get out of what that experience is. We put our children into these situations that are not good for them, that are not healthy, because we did not follow the way the Kemetics did their lives back then, which is why they were able to rule so many thousands of years, to reign so many dynasties, unlike how the families are raised today, because they knew that they had to look inward to know who their mate is, by following the divine laws, by following the wisdom of God, to find that mate. And once you find that mate that you're with, you know that you are one with that mate. Then with that mate, you also learn by looking within the stars, by looking within yourself intuitively, to know what type of child you're looking to have and to know when that child should be conceived. Then from there, when the child is born, you already know what type of child that is going to be, and then that child's life journey, that spiritual journey that child will be on, is already laid out because it's within the divine plan, because it was within the divine order of the two parents in the beginning. We don't do that anymore. So now we have children that may or may not supposed to be here at this time frame, and so we're bringing children into this world based off of our lower selves, off of our emotions. Oh, he is so hot. Oh, she is so hot, and letting our physical selves to dictate the mate that we have. And then most of us don't have children because we planned it out. Most of us have children when we didn't plan it out. So we have these children, we become responsible for them, and we're accountable for the choices that we make. So we put them in a situation with these people that we decide to have relationships with, the people we decide to get married to, and then we wonder why we have the problems that we have. We try to fix it by putting a spiritual path to it, or a religious path to it, and a lot of us are still, even though we're in that, are still guiding our children incorrectly. My children have gone through a lot of different things in their life based off the choices that I made. I am accountable for how they feel. I'm accountable for their actions. They would not be where they are if it wasn't for the choices that I made. And so what I'm saying to you, my brothers and sisters, you have to take a look at yourself. If your children are not acting right, if your children are not in peace with themselves, it's because you are not in peace with yourself. You have to look at them. They are your physical mirror, not your spiritual mirror. They are your physical mirror to let you know what you're doing. They are just a younger you, but because they are a younger you, they're going to express themselves differently. And when we get upset as parents, we're actually getting upset because we see who we are and how we are acting in them. We just don't want to admit it. I can admit that the children that I have, my 3 boys, they are who they are mainly because of me, their father, the man that I married, and we're not seeing that. And so now we have to break the cycle. It's just like we have to break the cycle of the slave mind. You know, we have to get out of that. We have to see where we are, where the root of the issues began, and see that because the children come from me, the root became from me, though the root going back from or through me, came from my mother, and so on. Now that I see that, I have to stop the cycle so I can raise these young kings to be who they are to be, so they can become the Usher, to know the indwelling God that is in them. And that is what I'm here to do. And I'm expressing this to my brothers and sisters to help you in your lifestyle. I'm not saying that anything that I'm saying is completely altogether right. Intuitively, a lot have come to me, has been revealed to me. If you love your children, as you say that you do, you love who you are, you love the Supreme Being, the One Most High, no matter what name you decide to call it, then know that you have to put your children first and putting them in the right environments so that they are not surrounded by negativity. Negativity that comes from the parents, of the arguing parents, the fighting parents, the parents who are selfish and we're thinking about ourselves. I've been that parent before. I know what I'm speaking of on that. We have to find that peace within ourselves. We have to find that wisdom within ourselves. We have to rise above our person, our flesh, so that we can be able to know how to guide these young kings and queens in this world. They are the next to the throne. They are about to take the crown. They are coming into age, and this is the time frame for that. And we're not doing our duties. We keep wondering why the black nations keep falling, or why they're in this perpetual cycle of stuck. But we do this because we don't want to get out of it. It's like we like being the victim. They have told us that we're a victim, so we have accepted that we are the victim. So now we make our children the victim. We're keeping the cycle going instead of stopping it so that we can be the true, powerful black nation that we were in the beginning. As they say, what was in the beginning shall be in the end. As in heaven, as in on earth. So what you are when you're thinking on the upper echelon, your person must do that below. You are the earth when you are the flesh. You are heaven when you are speaking from out of your upper echelon. As in my practice, in the Kemetic practice, it is called the tree of life. The Putnateru. We are the tree. Each of us are the tree. We are rooted here. But we must understand that while we are here, we must think in the likeness of God. Because God is within us and we are that. A lot of us, when we were growing up, were not taught those things and was told that we were wrong. and that we were incorrect. I need you to think about these things that people are saying to you. If somebody is telling you that you can't be this way, it's because they're telling you what they cannot be. I'm sure many of you have seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. Will Smith's character said that to his son while they're sitting there shooting hoops. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do, because they're only telling you what they cannot do. You are the likeness of God. You are made in the peace that is within, the Amen that is within all things. Know that you are God on earth. You are more than what people tell you that you are. They teach you these things through other practices because they leave out information so that you cannot learn about yourself, so that you, when you have your offspring, you can guide your offspring correctly so that they will not go through the same things but become the gods and goddesses that they are supposed to be. Please comprehend what that means. I am not saying by any means that I am the supreme being or you are the supreme being. But we are gods and goddesses. We were created to be so. But because we have allowed people who are outside of us to change our ways and change our stories and change our history and change our practices so that we will no longer know how to get back to who we are. That's that little bit of that part of you that's telling you something is still a bit off. Guide your children. Guide them on the pathway. Find the answers. There are people out here that know these things. It does not mean that you change your ways of your practice, but like I've said on my statuses on Facebook before, I'm here to add on to what you already know, to fill in the holes, so that you can be able to get the true benefit of your walk. We're here to be in our spiritual selves while we are in this physical realm. And we must take heed to that. I don't want to make this too long, and I don't want to say too much. Think about your children. Think about the situations that you put your children in. Sometimes most of the time, we have to be selfless and think about how this situation or scenario that we put our kids in, is this truly the best situation for them just because of what I want? What I want is my desires. My desires are based off of my emotions. My emotions are within my lower self. My lower person. That means that person who I was told who I am, that I am now creating myself to be. Become the architect in your life. Take that spiritual walk. Take that leap and trust in God. And let God guide you along what you need to do in your life. Thank you for listening. Hotep.